Hello, everyone. Welcome to another reading adventure. We're still talking about looking for the helpers. Before we get started, let's have a look at a word puzzle. Okay, let's see. Can you guess this word before I have all the letters? I haven't seen this one before. This looks like candy. So this might be a word that starts with the letter C. We have a U for umbrella. We have, this could be a goose or a duck. I think it might be a goose. So we could try a G for goose, an H for heart. Looking at what's left, do you know this word? Can you guess it yet? This is a tie. This is another UGH word, U-G-H. So this will be A. So when we have A-U-G-H, it says ah, ought, caught. So our word is caught. I'm glad you caught me today because I have another one of my favorite books to share with you called Stone Soup. You know, oftentimes when we find helpers, when we look for helpers and we find helpers, we notice that they are also very wise. Being helpful also requires you to be wise. So we will explore how their wisdom helped other people to find happiness. Let's see this large pot on the cover of Stone Soup. It says retold and illustrated by John Muth. It says retold, which means told again, because Stone Soup is a very old story with many, many different versions. It came from Europe, but this version imagines it taking place in China a long time ago. So let's read Stone Soup. Three monks, Hawk, Luck, and Sioux, traveled along a mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and giving. "What makes one happy, Sioux?" asked Hawk, the youngest monk. Old Sioux, who was the wisest, said, "Well, let's find out." The sound of a bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. They could not see from so high above that the village had been through many hard times. Famine, floods, and war had made the villagers weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their neighbors. The villagers worked hard, but only for themselves. There was a farmer, a tea merchant, a scholar, a seamstress, a doctor, a carpenter, and many others, but they had little to do with one another. When the monks reached the foot of the mountain, The villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came to the gates to greet them. And when the people saw them enter the village, they closed their windows tight. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer. Then the house went dark. They knocked on a second door, and the same thing happened. It happened again and again, from one house to the next. These people do not know happiness, they all agreed. But today, said Siu, his face bright as the moon, we will show them how to make stone soup. They gathered twigs and branches and made a fire. They placed a small tin pot on top and filled it with water from the village well. A brave little girl who had been watching came to them. "What are you doing?" she asked. "We are gathering twigs," said Lock. "We are making a fire," said Hawk. "We are making stone soup, and we need 3 round, smooth stones," said Siu. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just the right ones. Then they put them in the water to cook. "These stones will make excellent soup," said Siu. "But this very small pot won't make much, I'm afraid." "My mother has a bigger pot," said the girl. The little girl ran home. As she started to take a pot, her mother asked what she was doing. "The 3 strangers are making soup from stones," she said. "They need our biggest pot." "Hmm," said the girl's mother. "Stones are easy to come by. I'd like to learn how to do that." The monks poked the coals. As smoke drifted up, the neighbors peered out from their windows. The fire and the large pot in the middle of the village was a true curiosity. One by one, the people of the village came out to see just what the stone soup was. "Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with salt and pepper," said Hawk. "That is true," said Lock as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones, "but we have none." "I have some salt and pepper," said the scholar, his eyes big with curiosity. He disappeared and came back with salt and pepper and even a few other spices. Siu took a taste. The last time we had soup stones of this size and color, carrots made the broth very sweet." "Carrots?" said a woman from the back. "I may have a few carrots, but just a few." And off she ran. She returned with as many carrots as she could carry and dropped them into the pot. Do you think it would be better with onions? Asked Hawk. Oh, yes, maybe an onion would taste good, said a farmer, and he hurried off. He returned in a moment with 5 big onions, and he dropped them into the bubbling soup. Now, that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, as the smell was very agreeable. But if only we had some mushrooms, said Sue, rubbing his chin. Several villagers licked their lips. A few dashed away and returned with fresh mushrooms, noodles, pea pods, and cabbages. As each person opened their heart to give, the next person gave even more. And as this happened, the soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest we add dumplings, said one villager. And bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung beans and yams? Cried some others. And taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some, people cried out, and off they ran, returning with all they could carry. The monks stirred, and the pot bubbled. How good it smelled! How good it would taste! How giving the villagers had become! At last, the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought lychee nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. After the banquet, they told stories, sang songs, and celebrated long into the night. Then they unlocked their doors and took the monks into their homes and gave them very comfortable places to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. "Thank you for having us as your guests," said the monks. "You have been most generous." "Thank you," said the villagers. "With the gifts you have given, we will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us all richer." "And to think," said the monks, "to be happy is as simple as making stone soup." Hawk, Luck, and Sue had the wisdom to understand that they couldn't force the villagers to be giving and sharing, that instead they could only influence. There's a big difference between being able to control and being able to influence. And some people call this their circle of control. I'll show you what I mean. On this paper, I drew a big circle and turned it into a large pot, like the one in the story. In the inside of the pot, I'm going to put the things in my life that I can control. Let's see. First thing that I can control, has ever seen a text balloon? It usually means someone is talking. Inside, I'm going to write my words. We get to decide what words come out of our mouth. That is something we are able to control. Let's see. There's another thing I can control. Let's see what I'm drawing here. It's a hand. My actions. So you can control what you choose to do in any situation. Let's see. Over here, I'm going to draw it's like my head. You know what that is inside your head? That's right, your brain. My ideas. The things that I think I have control over. My feelings might come and go, but I can always choose what I think about, what I do, and what I say are all things that I have the ability to control. Outside of the pot are things that I cannot control. I might be able to influence some of them, but I cannot control. The first thing that I cannot control, you see how this person is saying something there? What others say. I cannot, can we move this down so you can see it? I cannot control what other people say. Let's see. What else am I not able to control? And draw another hand. And say what others do is not something that I can control. You can influence someone, ask them to stop, or ask them to do something, or help them to feel like they might want to do that, but ultimately they control what's out here, and you control what's in here, right? Let's add one more thing. I'm going to use a little light bulb to represent, we sometimes use light bulbs to represent thoughts. I use a light bulb. Others, ideas. You cannot control what other people are thinking or what they think about you. You can influence, but you can't control. You can only control the things in your circle of control, right? And one other thing I love to complain about that I cannot control. Guess what this is going to be over here? That's right. It's raining, right? Weather. I could probably add other things to the inside or the outside of my circle of control. You can draw your own and think about What are you able to control? And what are you not able to control? Understanding the difference between the two is a big part of wisdom. Sometimes we see people struggle because they forget about what they can control and what they cannot control. Just like the friends in this book, a man and his wife. This is called Ming Moves the Mountain. Ming Moves the Mountain by Arnold Lobel. Ming and his wife lived in a house at the bottom of a large mountain. They loved their house, but they did not love the mountain. Rocks and stones broke loose from the cliffs. They dropped down onto the house of Ming Lo. The roof was full of holes. Clouds formed on the top of the mountain. Heavy rain fell from the clouds onto this roof that was full of holes. The rooms inside were damp and drippy. When the sun did shine, it never warmed the house of Ming Lo. The mountain always cast a dark shadow. The flowers and vegetables in the garden grew thin and sparse. This mountain brings us nothing but unhappiness, said the wife of Ming Lo. Husband, you must move the mountain so that we may enjoy our house in peace. My dear wife, said Ming Lo, how can one small man such as I move a large mountain such as this? How should I know? Said his wife. There is a wise man who lives in the village. Go and ask him. Ming Lo hurried to the village. When he found the wise man, he said, I want to move the mountain that is near my house. The wise man thought for a long time. Wisps of smoke curled from his pipe. Finally, he said, Go home, Ming Lo. Cut down the tallest, thickest tree you can find. Push this tree against the side of the mountain with all your strength. This is the way that you will move the mountain. Ming Lo ran home. He cut down the tallest, thickest tree that he could find. Ming Lo and his wife held tightly to the tree. Running as fast as they could run, they pushed the tree against the side of the mountain. The tree split in half. Ming Lo and his wife fell on their heads. The mountain did not move an inch. Go back to the wise man, said the wife of Ming Lo. Ask him to think of another way to move the mountain. Again, the wise man thought for a long time. Rings of smoke blew from his pipe. Finally, he said, Go home, Ming Lo. Take the pots and pans from your kitchen. Hold a spoon in each one of your hands. With these spoons, hit the pots and pans as hard as you can. Raise your voice in loud shouts and cries. The mountain will be frightened by the noise. This is the way that you will move the mountain. Ming Lo ran home. He took the pots and pans from his kitchen. Ming Lo and his wife held a spoon in each one of their 4 hands. They shouted and cried. They hit the pots and pans as hard as they could. They made a great noise. Flocks of birds flew out of the trees, but the mountain did not move at all. Go back to the wise man, cried the wife of Ming Lo. We must find a way to move the mountain. Ming Lo watched as the wise man thought for a very long time. Clouds of smoke billowed from his pipe. Finally, he said, Go home, Ming Lo. Bake many cakes and loaves of bread. Bring these to the spirit who lives at the top of the mountain. The spirit is always hungry. He will be happy to receive your gifts. He will grant your every wish. This is the way that you will move the mountain. Ming Lo ran home. With his wife, he baked platters of cakes and baskets of bread. Together they began the steep climb to the top of the mountain where the spirit lived. They felt a strong wind as they struggled up the high cliffs. It whistled and howled. Soon the air was filled with flying cakes and loaves of bread. There was nothing left for the spirit, and the mountain did not move. Without waiting for his wife to say a word, Ming Lo went quickly back to the wise man. Help me to move this mountain so that I may enjoy my house in peace, cried Ming Lo. The wise man sat deep in thought for a long, long time. There was so much smoke coming from his pipe that he could hardly be seen. Finally he said, Go home, Ming Lo. Take your house apart, stick by stick. Gather all these sticks that are the pieces of your house. Collect all of the things that are your possessions. Bind everything into bundles with rope and twine. Carry these bundles in your arms and on the top of your head. Face the mountain and close your eyes. Having done all this, said the wise man, you will step to the dance of the moving mountain. You will put your left foot in a place that is in back of your right foot. You will then put your right foot in a place that is in back of your left foot. You must do this again and again for many hours. When you open your eyes, you will see that the mountain has moved far away. That is a strange dance, said Ming Lo, but if it makes the mountain move, I will do it at once. Ming Lo ran home. He took his house apart, stick by stick. He gathered all of the sticks and collected all of the things that were his possessions. Ming Lo and his wife bound everything into bundles with rope and twine. They carried the bundles in their arms and on the tops of their heads. Then Ming Lo showed his wife how to do the dance of the moving mountain. They faced the mountain and closed their eyes. Carefully, they began to move their feet to the steps of the dance. They each put their left foot in a place that was behind their right foot. Then they put their right foot in a place that was behind their left foot. The neighbors saw Ming Lo and his wife walking backwards across the fields with all their possessions. It was an odd sight, and they watched in wonder. After many hours had passed, Ming Lo and his wife opened their eyes. "Look!" cried Ming Lo. "Our dance has done its work. The mountain has moved far away." Stick by stick, they rebuilt their house. They unpacked all of their possessions and made themselves at home. Ming Lo and his wife lived the rest of their lives under an open sky and a warm sun. When rain fell, it came down gently on a roof that had no holes. They often looked at the mountain that was small in the distance. There was happiness in their hearts, for they both knew that they had made the mountain move. I guess they didn't realize moving a mountain was outside their circle of control, and it took a wise man to help them see that. So what kind of things are in your circle of control that can help you help others? I'll see you soon for another adventure. Take care.